Hello and welcome back to another week with me. It's me, Kimmy. Happy New Year! Happy New Year. I hope you had a safe and happy holiday. I took a couple weeks off, one for the holiday and one just because I was feeling kind of down. You know, it wasn't a normal holiday season, so that kind of hit me a little more than I thought it would. So I wanted to give myself a little bit of a mental break. And then I kind of wanted to jump back into it this week and get back into doing some makeup. I was actually kind of struggling with an idea for this week's video, and then I am one of the weirdos that likes to look up the Pantone color of the year. And so I was sitting on the couch one day and I was like, oh, what's the 2021 color of the year? I haven't seen that announcement yet. And so I look it up and there's actually 2 colors this year. And so I thought that would be really fun to incorporate into a video because usually when Pantone comes out with a color, they've been doing it since 2000. They did it for Y2K. And anytime they come out with a color, it's meant to be kind of an intention for the year, but also more directed towards like trends, whether it be fashion, makeup, just anything like home decor, all of that stuff. And so for this year's colors, they chose 2. It's only the second time that they've ever done that. It's also the first time that they've ever done a neutral shade. So the 2 colors are Illuminating, which is a bright, vibrant yellow, and then the second color is Ultimate Gray. So yeah, it's a first time they've ever done like just a neutral tone. Everything's always been like blues and like coral and emerald and just like all these different colors. So this is the first time that they've done those 2. And so I thought I would show you how I would do it on myself. It is a very simple, basic look that I do on myself all the time, but I figured that would be the best way to do it rather than trying to go in and do something crazy fancy. You know what I mean? But a little fun fact, I was reading up on the reason why they chose these colors. They, like, last year was like a blue color and that was supposed to mean like calm and serene, and they were like, looking back at blue, like that probably wasn't how 2020 was like turned out to be, wasn't what we expected. And so they chose this yellow and this gray tone, and the VP said it's a combination that speaks to the resilience, the optimism and hope and positivity that we need as we reset, renew, reimagine and reinvent. And so I was actually really kind of inspired by that. Something that kind of hit when I was filming is part of the reason I've been kind of down over the last couple weeks is I haven't done anything artistically. So I've just been kind of sitting around cleaning, kind of what I was doing at the beginning of quarantine. And I was just like, not myself. And then as soon as I started playing with makeup again, I'm like, oh, that's right. This is actually what I'm passionate about. And this is what I love. So instead of being in my head and being concerned with how things are going with whatever it is I'm doing here, I just have to remember that doing makeup is what I love, and if it's on myself for a while longer, so be it. If you like watching the videos, cool. If not, at least I got to, you know, put something together that I really enjoyed and I really loved. So it all kind of came together as a theme, right? It also was giving me major Hufflepuff vibes, so that's why I'm in this, because I took a Pottermore quiz once and it told me that I was a Hufflepuff. So that means I'm a Hufflepuff, right?
I see it.
Yeah. Loyal.
Loyal. Soft.
Did you say I'm soft?
Heart.
Oh, okay. I'm soft, apparently. But yeah, if you are new here, I am Kimmy. I do makeup on myself, and sometimes I have cameos, anything from beauty to effects. I also talk about random things. I like a good theme. And so if you want to see more from me, go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the notification bell to let you know when I upload a video. But if you are amped that it's 2021 and you are going to use it for good things, then go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to see how I put together this illuminating and ultimate gray eyeshadow look, then just keep watching. All right, so I've got pretty much everything done. No, I'm just joking. I've got my, you know the usual situation to save us time. I've got my base, concealer, brows, contour, bronzer on, and I also just primed my eyeballs with the Anastasia primer just so we can hop right in, you know? All right. So I'm going to keep today's look just kind of what I would usually do. Like, I don't want to do anything crazy because I want it to be something wearable. And I feel like a lot of people may not know, hey, yellow and gray can go together in a look. Feel a little more confident that you can do it at home. All right? All right. So I'm going to start out with just laying down a transition color. And I think I'm going to go into the Kat Von D, my loved one, you know, shade and light palette. And I think I actually want to kind of I'll take the gray shade to start, just like the really pale gray. One thing you'll notice with a lot of gray toned shadows is up until recently, a lot of the shadows have brown in them. And so I personally don't have something that's just like that flat gray that is technically the Pantone color. There are palettes out nowadays though that have colors like that in them and they are really cool tone, but these are going to have a little bit of brown into them. So I'm going to do a little bit of a wide variety of colors. You'll see. So I'm just going to lay down this transition shade really quick, you know, riveting stuff. Just right in my crease. So you can kind of see with that initial color, it is still some gray, but there is a slight like kind of taupey brown undertone to it, which is fine. Sometimes when you're mixing gray and yellow, it might not be a bad thing to have a little bit of I don't even notice her walking anymore. That's why I kept talking. I'm just like, oh, clickety clackety, starting. All right, so now I'm gonna go in. I've just got a very light transition shade. And the reason I wanted to do that is just once again for my guideline, but I don't wanna do anything too dark just yet because I'm gonna go in with the yellow first. Typically you wanna work light to dark. You feel me? Hold for sound. You hear my dog walking around, our neighbor sneezing, just know that that's like my thing now, right? So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of like a fluffier brush to start, and it's kind of big, but that's okay because I kind of want it to be a blown out look. And I'm gonna go in with a really pale yellow shade. I'm going to mix a couple of yellows together, I'm going to mix a couple yellows together just because since I'm on the fairer side, I want it to be really vibrant and I don't want to look like sick. Right, Katie? And I'm gonna focus this mainly on my lid and like my inner corner. And I'm gonna focus this on my lid. She's getting up the courage. She's gonna end up on the couch here in a moment. I'm gonna focus this mainly on my lid and then kind of blend it upwards. Just a classic Kimmy situation. And I'm gonna start just by like packing it on. And then slowly buffing. And I kind of want to buff it up towards my brow and over, so you can kind of see the shape of the skin. You can do it. So once again, just kind of tap, 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 and then slowly buffing. All right, so I've got kind of that bright inner corner, and so now I'm gonna layer on some more yellows. I do like that yesterday was relatively quiet, right? And then it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so now it's like, oh, cool. You didn't like it the first time? So now I'm taking the shade No Joke from the Jaclyn Hill palette. There we are. All right. All right. Okay, so I'm taking the shade No Joke from the Jaclyn Hill palette on a flat brush, and I'm just kind of packing that on now. Just on that lid. can see it's a little bit more of like a vibrant yellow and not so pastel. Of course. I'm just gonna voice over it. It's fine. All right, here is the soothing silence and sound of my voice with the voiceover. Let's get down to brass tacks. I'm just still continuing to pack on that same No Joke shade, and I'm layering it on top of that original pastel shade. I'm not really buffing it. I'm basically just placing it right on top because I did enough blending with that first initial pastel shade that I don't need to buff it as much. And then now I'm going back in with that Kat Von D palette, and I'm doing the light gray shade along with the darker gray shade. I start out with the lighter gray shade, just kind of pack and place it where I want it, and then slowly start to buff it out with this tapered crease brush. And then I go in with the darker gray tone right on top. Just a slow build. It's basically pack a little bit on, buff it out, and then gradually start to build up the color a little bit more, just because I don't want it to be super dark and super harsh right away. And I'm doing this basically to create some dimension, because I'm going to be going on top of it with some shimmer tones or like satin finishes as well. And so I don't want it to be just metallic. I want to have some of that gray undertone to it. And then I'm going back in with that first initial kind of pastel yellow on a small blending brush, and I'm buffing that along the lid as well as into that gray tone, just so everything's really nice and married together. And then now I'm going in with this old school Marc Jacobs palette. It's like a satiny silvery tone. And so you can see as I place it on top of those first two gray shades that I used, it does start to give kind of that ultimate gray effect to it. And it's not overly shimmery. It just has a little bit of a satin finish to it. Scoping myself out. And now I'm going in with the shade Seaside from the Anastasia Riviera palette, and I'm placing that just on my lid and blending it out towards that outer edge. Once again, this is just like a deeper tone silver. This one does have some shimmer in it though, so I try to concentrate that on my lid as much as possible. And then I didn't show it on camera, but I did line my upper lash line with one of the Urban Decay 24/7 liners. This is the shade Demolition, I believe. It's a flat gray. You will see it later because I run it in my waterline, but I basically just line my upper lash line and I'm blending it out with an angled brush now just to soften the edge. And then you know what this is. And then now I'm doing my lower lash line. See, there's that liner I told you about. Just running that along my waterline and then a little bit along my lashes as well. And then now I'm blending it out with a angled brush as well, just to soften any edges. And then I go back in and buff that even more with some of the grays from that Kat Von D palette, just so the lower lash line is really nice and soft. And then I do the same thing with the inner corner with that yellow. I think I'm happy with it, right? I'm checking myself out. And then now I'm going in with blush to wrap up the look. This is just one of the Clinique Pop blushes that I always use. It's like a corally color. And then I'm going in with just a really neutral lip. I don't want it to clash with the eye. So this is the liner pencil from Morphe in the shade Bay, and then Dolce Vita from NARS. It's like my perfect, like, your lip color, but better. All right, so that is the finished look. Very simple, very me. This is what I do on the daily basis when I wear makeup. So not the 2020 daily basis. Maybe the 2021 daily basis, we shall see. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that yellow and gray are very wearable, and it's something that you can do at home with products that you probably already have. If not, there's, like I said, there's tons of palettes out there that have full tone grays, or they have really bright and vibrant yellows, and they're really affordable nowadays. So if you try it out, let me know what you think. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this week's look. Let me know if you try it yourself. Let me know what you are most hopeful for 2021. Leave that in the comment section below, and I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Happy New Year, right? Happy New Year. Bye.